in the heart of suburban Cleveland, where maple-lined streets hum with the quiet rhythm of small-town life. The aroma of freshly baked bread spills out from Miller's Hearth, a beloved bakery that's been the pulse of the community for decades. It's here, amid the clatter of mixing bowls and the warmth of glowing ovens, that Emily Carter, a 25-year-old with a quiet strength, grew up feeling like a ghost in her own story. To the townsfolk, Miller's Hearth is synonymous with crusty sourdough and velvety cupcakes. But for Emily, it's a bittersweet reminder of a childhood spent fading into the background. Emily was always the reliable one. Her parents, Linda and Tom, poured their hearts into the bakery, their lives a whirlwind of flour-dusted aprons and early mornings. They saw Emily as the daughter who didn't need handholding, the one who could manage herself. Emily's got it all figured out, her mother would say, a faint smile masking the dismissal. But to Emily, those words were a quiet sentence, you're on your own. Meanwhile, her younger brother, Ethan, 22, was the family's sunbeam. His easy grin could melt any tension. His mistakes brushed off as just Ethan being Ethan. When Ethan lost his soccer cleats, it was because he was overwhelmed. When Emily earned a full-ride scholarship to college, it was just what she does. The contrast wasn't loud, but it was constant, carving a hollow space in Emily's chest she learned to live with. The only person who truly saw Emily was her grandfather, George, with his weathered hands and warm, knowing eyes. He didn't just hear her, he listened. He remembered her birthday without a reminder, tucked notes in her backpack with lines like, "You're destined for big things, kiddo," and spent hours talking about her dream of opening a cozy bookstore someday. When George passed away 2 years ago, Emily's world cracked. But in his will, he left her a trust fund, not a fortune, but enough to plant the seeds of her dreams. Whether that meant a down payment on a home, a master's degree, or her bookstore, there was a catch: she couldn't touch it until she turned 28. And only for specific purposes like housing, education, or starting a business. Emily didn't mind. To her, the trust was a silent pact with George, a promise she'd honor when the time was right. Life might have stayed steady, a quiet hum of routine, if not for Ethan's engagement. Enter Sophia Bennett, a 24-year-old with a smile that could charm a storm and a presence that seemed to pull everyone into her orbit. Her chestnut curls bounced as she spoke, her voice smooth as caramel. And within minutes of meeting the Carters, she had Linda laughing and Tom visibly relaxed. At the engagement dinner, as wine glasses clinked and toasts echoed, Sophia's gaze landed on Emily, sharp and deliberate. "Emily, I heard your grandpa left you a trust fund," she said, her tone light but her eyes gleaming with intent. "Have you thought about helping Ethan out? A wedding's such a big moment. You know." The table fell quiet, forks pausing mid-air. Emily set her glass down, her smile polite but guarded. "Yeah, he did. But I can't access it until I'm 28. And I've got plans for it." Sophia tilted her head, her smile unwavering but her stare calculating, like a chess player plotting 3 moves ahead. "Oh, of course," she purred. "I just thought, with family, maybe you'd want to make Ethan's day extra special. Starting a marriage isn't cheap." Emily nodded, but a knot tightened in her stomach. The room resumed its chatter, oblivious to the undercurrent. Sophia's glance lingered a beat too long before she turned to toast Ethan. But Emily caught it, a spark of determination that said this wasn't a one-off comment. It was the opening shot in a battle Emily hadn't signed up for. Days later, at a family barbecue in Shaker Heights, Sophia struck again, under the shade of a sprawling oak. While burgers sizzled and kids darted through sprinklers, she slid her chair closer to Emily's. "Emily," she said, her voice low, conspiratorial, "I've been crunching numbers for the wedding. Ethan mentioned you might have some funds tucked away. Is that true?" Emily's grip tightened on her iced tea, her eyes fixed on the horizon. "I don't have anything available, Sophia. The trust isn't mine to touch yet. And even if it was, it's not for someone else's wedding." Sophia laughed, a sound that was less warm, more pointed. "I get it. It's just, Ethan's under so much stress. My parents want a nice venue, but we're stretched thin. I thought if you could chip in, Even a little. It'd mean more than letting that money sit for 3 more years. Emily turned, meeting Sophia's gaze head on. It's not sitting. Sophia, I have plans. And I'm not obligated to bankroll anyone. Sophia's smile flickered, her eyes narrowing for a split second. I'm not trying to push you, she said, her tone syrupy. I just thought you'd want to be there for Ethan's big day. Your family. After all. Family, Emily repeated softly, the word bitter on her tongue. How strange that someone who'd known Ethan for mere months could wield family like a weapon. She left the barbecue early, the weight of Sophia's words pressing against her chest. At home, her phone lit up with a text from Linda. Sophia talked to me. She's just worried about Ethan. Don't be too hard on her. Emily stared at the screen, her thumb hovering over the reply button. She didn't respond. Silence, she'd learned, was often mistaken for agreement. But this time, it was her shield. Sophia didn't relent. Her tactics grew bolder, her words cloaked in sweetness but sharp as thorns. At family dinners, she'd drop hints about blessings, and how some people use their resources to lift up loved ones. She organized a brunch at a chic cafe in Ohio City, inviting her friends who happened to muse about how they'd invest in family if they had a trust like Emily's. Linda began echoing Sophia's sentiments, murmuring about keeping the peace. Tom, usually reserved, chimed in one evening, his voice gruff. Responsibility means helping the people you love, Emily, even if it's not in your plan. Ethan, once her closest ally, started siding with Sophia, his calls laced with guilt. I just think we could figure this out together. Emily felt like she was drowning in whispers, each one peeling away her resolve. She wasn't just fighting Sophia, she was up against her own family. The people she'd spent her life trying to please. But she refused to bend. She started documenting everything. Sophia's texts, her cryptic Instagram stories about selfish relatives, the voicemails from Ethan pleading for just a little help. When Sophia's friend messaged Emily, suggesting people with money should share, she screenshot it. And when Sophia called Emily's office, posing as a relative, to dig into her financial records, Emily knew she couldn't fight alone. On a crisp Tuesday morning, Emily walked dull pain in her chest. But it was also a spark, a refusal to be erased. This was no longer about a trust fund. It was about Emily Carter, the girl who'd spent her life in the margins, stepping into the light to claim her voice. And as the Cleveland skyline loomed outside Rachel's window, Emily knew the fight was just beginning, but she was ready. The air in Cleveland was thick with the scent of autumn leaves as Emily Carter's battle reached its crescendo. What began as subtle pressure from Sophia Bennett, Ethan's fiancée, had escalated into a calculated campaign to pry open Emily's trust fund, a legacy left by her grandfather, George, locked until her 28th birthday. Sophia's charm, once a warm breeze, had turned into a relentless storm. And Emily, armed with evidence and resolve, exorcised her demons. But the turning point, when it came, was as unexpected as it was explosive, unraveling Sophia's facade and reshaping the Carter family forever. Sophia's tactics grew bolder by the day, no longer content with veiled comments at family gatherings. She took to Instagram, crafting stories that painted Emily as a selfish hoarder of wealth. One post, draped in pastel filters, read, "Some people hold onto money tighter than family. Guess not everyone knows what love means." The words didn't name Emily, but the implication was clear. And the comments poured in, strangers and distant cousins alike offering Sophia sympathy. Some even tagging her with messages like, "Stay strong, girl, you don't deserve this." Emily's phone buzzed with notifications, each one a jab at her character. She didn't respond, but she screenshot every post, every comment, her digital folder growing into a fortress of evidence. Sophia's audacity didn't stop there. One gray Monday, Emily was called into her company's HR office. The head of our, a stern woman named Carla, leaned forward, her voice low. "Emily, someone claiming to be a family member called last week, asking about your salary and financial records. They were polite but pushy. Do you know anything about this?" Emily's stomach dropped. Did they leave a name? She asked. Already knowing the answer, Carla shook her head. No name. Just a woman's voice. Too many questions for my liking. Emily left the office, her pulse racing. Sophia had crossed a line. Not just into harassment but into invasion. That evening, she fired off an email to her attorney, Rachel Hayes, attaching the HR incident report. Rachel's reply was swift. This is grounds for a cease and desist. If she steps further, we'll file for civil harassment. Keep documenting. Emily thought she'd seen the worst of Sophia's schemes. But the true unraveling came by accident, a misstep so monumental it would shatter Sophia's carefully constructed image. It happened on a crisp Tuesday morning as Emily sipped coffee at her desk. Her phone lit up with a flurry of notifications from the Carter family group chat. A usually mundane space for bakery updates and photos of cinnamon rolls. The first message was from Ethan. Raw and unfiltered. Sophia. I can't believe you sent this to your friends. You called Emily a locked vault, and said Mom and Dad would break her eventually. What the hell? Attached were 3 screenshots, each one a dagger. Emily's breath caught as she opened them. The texts were from a group chat called Bride Tribe, Sophia's inner circle. The first read, "Let Linda and Tom keep pushing. Emily's not used to this kind of pressure. She'll cave." The second was colder. "Ethan's freaking out. But I'm not. Half that trust is my wedding fund. Once the aunts and uncles pile on, she's done." The third cut deepest. "Acting like I respect Emily is draining. But it's working. She eats up kindness. So I play nice. No biggie." Emily's hands trembled, not with fear but with a strange clarity. Ethan had meant to send these to Sophia privately. But in his anger, he'd dropped them into the family chat, exposing her to Linda, Tom, 2 aunts, and Emily herself. The chat went silent, a digital void where hearts raced. Then Linda texted, her words shaky, "Sophia. What is this?" Tom followed. "Are these real?" Sophia's reply came a minute later. Frantic. "You're all misreading this. I was just venting to friends. That's not how I feel." But the damage was done. Emily didn't respond. She didn't need to. She left the group chat, her silence louder than any argument. That night, Ethan called, his voice cracking. I'm so sorry. I saw her phone on the counter. And I was pissed. I didn't mean to send it to everyone." Emily closed her eyes, her tone steady. "I told you, Ethan, over and over. You didn't listen." He choked out. "I thought she was stressed. Not this. I feel like an idiot." Emily's laugh was cold. "I wasn't protecting money, Ethan. I was protecting me." Sophia was never worthy of touching that trust. She hung up, the weight of betrayal heavy but her resolve unshaken. The fallout was swift. Sophia's empire of charm crumbled as the screenshots spread. Aunts who'd once nudged Emily to be generous, now called to apologize. A cousin who'd liked Sophia's Instagram post messaged, "I was wrong. I didn't know." Sophia tried to salvage her image, calling relatives with tearful claims that the texts were jokes, and Emily was overreacting. But the Carters weren't buying it. Her words, raw and unfiltered, had stripped away the honeyed facade, revealing a manipulator who'd played them all. Sophia stopped showing up to family events. Her Instagram went dark. No more ring selfies. No wedding countdowns. Just a void where her presence used to be. Word spread that she'd cancelled the venue and returned her dress. Her dream wedding evaporating like mist. Ethan, shattered by the truth, ended the engagement. He texted Emily days later, "It's over with Sophia. I'm starting therapy. I need to figure out how I let this happen." Emily read the message, feeling no triumph, only a hollow ache for the brother who'd once been her shadow, chasing her through the bakery with flour on his cheeks. He'd chosen the wrong light to follow. But now, in the wreckage, he was trying to find his way back. She didn't reply. Not yet. Trust, like dough, needed time to rise. The Carters changed, slowly but noticeably. Linda stopped pushing the wedding narrative, her glances softer when Emily entered a room. One Sunday, she handed Emily a tray of lavender shortbread, her childhood favorite. A recipe Linda rarely made due to its fussiness. I should have listened sooner, Linda whispered, her eyes wet. Emily took the tray, her voice calm. I don't need you to fix the past, Mom. Just see that I wasn't wrong to stand my ground. Linda nodded, and for the first time, Emily felt heard, not out of guilt, but choice. Tom, ever stoic, sent her articles on small business loans. His way of saying he believed in her bookstore dream. The distance between them lingered, but it was no longer laced with expectation, it was regret. Healing in its own quiet way. Emily set new boundaries. She skipped family dinners that felt like traps. Ignored texts that probed too far. The trust fund sat untouched. A symbol not of wealth but of George's faith in her. And her own self-respect. She wasn't in a rush to use it. Emily had built her life, debt-free. Steady. Her marketing job a testament to her grit. If she ever tapped the trust, it would be on her terms. For her dreams, a bookstore with cozy armchairs. Or maybe a master's degree she'd shelved for practicality. Sophia vanished, leaving no apologies. Only whispers among relatives who'd once adored her. The Carters didn't speak of her. As if she'd been a fever dream. Emily didn't gloat. She felt lighter. Not because she'd won, but because she'd endured. The truth had fought for her. Louder than any scream she could have mustered. Standing in her apartment one October morning. Coffee warming her hands. Emily looked out at the Cleveland skyline. The future was hers to shape, not to prove. Not to appease, but to live. She'd learned that family shouldn't cost your soul. That kindness needs walls. And that peace built on sacrifice is no peace at all. Whatever came next, a bookstore, a degree, or something unimagined, Emily would walk toward it with a calm no one could steal. Carrying George's trust and her own unyielding strength.